we are working Psalm 5. In traditional psalm magic, Psalm 5 is used for any special needs or spiritual favors. It's used to promote spiritual growth, also for help in dealing with authority figures, for help with the law, and it's used for help in passing exams. So for those of you that are in college or high school that want to pass an exam, it's not intended to be used in place of studying, but it's to help augment all of the hard studying that you're doing. It's also used for help in business in general. So many things that this is good for. And today I would like to use Psalm 5 for banishing any kind of anguish about anything whatsoever. The way we work psalm magic is very simple and effective. You take the psalm in question and you speak it out loud all the way through once without stopping. We call this an incantation. After you finish that recitation, you go back through the psalm and take it one verse at a time, and you dig for what we call hidden or occult meanings. It's similar to a tarot reading. You do your best to follow the symbols and see what they're speaking to. You also apply what you find there to whatever the situation is that you brought to the psalm. And by doing all of this, what you're actually doing is taking all of those magic seeds that lie within the psalm and planting them in the depths of your mind where they take root, they grow, they blossom forth, and they bear fruit after their kind. And that is exactly what we are going to do together right now, you and I, with Psalm number 5. Give ear to my words, O Lord, consider my meditation. Hearken unto the voice of my cry, my King and my God, for unto thee will I pray. My voice shalt thou hear in the morning, O Lord. In the morning will I direct my prayer unto thee, and will look up. For thou art not a God that hath pleasure in wickedness, neither shall evil dwell with thee. The foolish shall not stand in thy sight. Thou hatest all workers of iniquity. Thou shalt destroy them that speak leasing. The Lord will abhor the bloody and deceitful man. But as for me, I will come into thy house in the multitude of thy mercy, and in thy fear will I worship toward thy holy temple. Lead me, O Lord, in thy righteousness because of mine enemies. Make thy way straight before my face. For there is no faithfulness in their mouths. Their inward part is very wickedness. Their throat is an open sepulchre. They flatter with their tongue. Destroy them, O God. Let them fall by their own counsels. Cast them out in the multitude of their transgressions, for they have rebelled against thee. But let all those that put their trust in thee rejoice. Let them ever shout for joy, because thou defendest them. Let them also that love thy name be joyful in thee. For thou, Lord, wilt bless the righteous. With favor wilt thou compass him, as with a shield. So it starts out like many psalms do, with calling out unto the Lord. Somebody just asked me online the other day, should I do an invocation prior to working a psalm? And you can, but the psalm itself is an invocation. So it's all-inclusive. You don't really need anything other than the psalm, but you can. Give ear to my words, O Lord, consider my meditation. So the infinite is what we're talking about when we say Lord. And the infinite meaning the one power, the one source, the one force. The idea that there is this one source is comforting and empowering when we're coming up against anything that we need to banish. Anything that this force is for, nothing can be against. So when you're working on your banishing today with this, you are aligning yourself with that which cannot be thwarted. Nothing can go up against it. There is only this power. When it says, give ear to my words, it's not as the infinite is ignoring you until you say, hello, to make sure you hear me. It's that the responsiveness of the infinite is activated by our calling out. We have to be the ones that start everything. People just expect the infinite to do everything for them, and it will if you ask for it. But you have to be the one to start it because we have free will. And that's a very important thing to remind ourselves, that we have freedom to think anything we want to think. And if we are wanting help, that help is available to us, if that help just came in without us asking for it, that would be akin to an attack. The Lord in the Psalms does not attack. So once we ask for the help, then the help is granted. But we also have to allow the help to come through us. Many of us will think that we're asking for help, but we say, oh, help me, help me, help me. And then we rush in and start doing things ourselves. So when we ask for help, we have to listen. And it's saying, consider my meditation. Meditation is a passive state. So you're calling out and then you're receiving. You call out and then you receive. If you think of the first two elements of creation, there's fire and then there's water. There's a positive and a negative on a battery. There's got to be the two together. So you have to call out and then you become receptive and passive. Hearken unto the voice of my cry, my King and my God, for unto thee will I pray. It's reiterating the same thing, but then it's giving extra verbiage to what this force is. This force is the king and the god of this person making the petition. If you hearken back to these ancient days of monarchy, the king was the ruler of all that was. Nothing could go up against the king. The king, in this sense, is the monarch of all monarchs, the monarch of the entire universe. It's reiterating that idea that there is nothing that can thwart this power. My voice shalt thou hear in the morning, O Lord. In the morning will I direct my prayer unto thee and will look up. First thing. In the morning means first thing. I'm going to start with you. My go-to is you. First thing I do is call out to the infinite. So if you're trying to grapple with whatever you're trying to banish yourself, I'll do a little bit on my own, and then I'll let the infinite have a little bit. If that's your idea of what co-creating is, you're in for a disappointment. Because as we said before, you have to do the first step, but then you have to have a hands-off approach. You call out, and then you receive the help. First thing. And then it says, and will look up. That means I'm not going to look down at my problem. I'm not going to try to figure it out myself. I'm not going to feel overwhelmed by the problem anymore. I'm not going to do anything within the mortal realm to try to fix this right now. The inner eye looking up, keeping my focus on the infinite. For thou art not a God that hath pleasure in wickedness, neither shall evil dwell with thee. So whatever it is that you're trying to banish, you're understanding that the infinite doesn't want that for you either. The infinite doesn't want you to have whatever this is that you're trying to banish. If you're going through some awful experience internally, externally, that's not the infinite's will for you. When you understand that, it makes it so much easier for you to receive the help that you need. But so many of us have been programmed that it's holy to suffer, and that the infinite is testing us, and that this is a school where we have to learn hard lessons, and get this idea that the infinite's a bully. And that if maybe eventually if we let it beat us up enough, that it'll be nice to us one day. And it's being very clear here that thou art not a God that hath pleasure in wickedness, neither shall evil dwell with thee. You've got to let go of all of those preconceived notions that you have to go through problems in order to be good enough. The infinite doesn't will this for you, and so your desire to banish this is also the infinite's desire. The foolish shall not stand in thy sight. Thou hatest all workers of iniquity. And the workers of iniquity in this particular sense is that which you're trying to banish. Now, we can also go below the surface a little bit farther and say the cause of this problem is also something that the infinite doesn't countenance. Whatever the cause of this problem is. But ultimately, we have to take responsibility for the fact that the cause of all of our problems lies in our own ego mind, our own feeling of separateness. It's not that we are blaming ourselves when we have a problem. We're not saying, why did I create this for myself? But we do have to take responsibility for the fact that we have a habit of thinking separately from the infinite that does keep our problems in place and does thwart the universe from being able to sort things out for us. So many of our problems would just sort themselves out if we weren't so dedicated in our beliefs about ourselves and our world. We're just going to take a break from all of that right now. The foolish shall not stand in thy sight, and the workers of iniquity. Whatever it is, whether it's internally that's keeping this problem in place, or externally that's happening to us and we have nothing to do with it. It doesn't matter. We're taking a moment to recognize that this is not the will of the infinite and that we have every right to be freed from this. Because if we don't understand that we have the right to be freed from this and that this isn't the infinite's will for us, then we're just spinning our wheels. If we have some sort of a sneaking suspicion and belief that we have to go through this, then again, the infinite has to wait for us to change our minds. Thou shalt destroy them that speak leasing. The Lord will abhor the bloody and deceitful man. Now, the bloody, deceitful man that speaks leasing is that part of the mind, the ego mind, that wants to keep us separate from our good. Why do we even have this? Because we got into the habit of it. I remember when I was a little kid and people were smoking cigarettes and everybody was talking about how it creates cancer and it's so bad for you. And I said, well, why do they do it? And somebody said, well, it's an addiction. And I didn't understand what that meant. Well, why don't they just stop? Why don't they just stop? Because it's a habit. And I didn't understand that as a little kid. It wasn't until much later, after I got addicted to cigarettes, that I understood what that meant. And it's a very similar thing with us, with our own ego minds. We're addicted to those things. We're addicted to these thought habits that keep us feeling separate. So giving permission and asking, thou shalt destroy them that speak leasing. The Lord will abhor the bloody and deceitful man. Please destroy within my own mind everything that hangs on to whatever it is that I'm trying to get rid of. But as for me, I will come into thy house in the multitude of thy mercy, and in thy fear will I worship toward thy holy temple. This is a very powerful verse. There's so many symbols here, and we don't have to go through all of them because that would take us all day just on this one verse. The multitude of mercy, first and foremost, is the infinite's desire for you to be happy. The infinite desires for you to be happy in all ways. There is nothing about you that the infinite wants to punish, that the infinite doesn't want to love and create all good things for, to make sure that all of your problems are solved, everything that doesn't work for you is released, everything that does work for you comes in, and that you be happy. That's 100% of what the infinite's will for you is. That's the multitude of thy mercy. And the multitude means that there is no end to all of the goodness that the infinite wants for you. I don't want to digress too much, but something came up on my YouTube feed of some preacher saying one of the biggest mistakes that people make is that God has unconditional love for us. And I thought, oh dear. This whole theology was based on the fact that we have to earn God's love, and that God doesn't love us, and that God is testing us, and that God is a bully, and all of that. And I'm thinking, I'm so removed from all of that. I forgot that people really believe this stuff. I forgot that people really believe that infinite love wants to destroy us. Anyway. But as for me, I will come into thy house in the multitude of thy mercy. Where is the house of God? It's right within you. It's the temple in the Psalms. It's that sanctuary that exists right inside you. And in the New Testament, the character named Jesus called it the kingdom of the heavens. You have constant access to the house of God. You don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to become good enough one day. You don't have to purify yourself. You don't have to get better and better and better, and one day you'll be invited in. You have permission now. You have permission now. I will come into thy house in the multitude of thy mercy, and in thy fear will I worship toward thy holy temple. So to worship means to work for. To fear means to have the experience of ecstasy in the presence of the infinite. Instead of trying to figure out how to fix my problem, I'm going to leave that to the infinite, and I'm going to get busy doing what I'm here to do. And that is worship toward thy holy temple. That can mean so many different things, depending on what your life is all about. How do you know what to do? How do you know what worship looks like? Ask. You ask. Infinite intelligence, where would you have me be? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? Where do you want me to go? Are you worrying about this problem? Are you worrying about what people are thinking about you? Are you upset at what so-and-so said about you? Then you're not worshiping toward thy holy temple. You're worshiping something else. You're working towards something else. Instead, you say, okay, well, I see that my ego mind is tempting me toward that, but instead I'm going to ask the infinite, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to think? Where do you want me to go? And you get very good at listening. You get very good at listening to that inner voice within you, telling you moment by moment where to go, what to do, where to be. And that's how you banish whatever it is that you've come to banish, by changing your mind and listening to the infinite as to what you should be doing, as to where your actions should be placed in order for you to be fulfilling your function here. And remember that your function here, according to this psalm, is to be happy, is to receive all the blessings, to receive all the multitude of mercy in the house of God, worshiping toward thy holy temple. Lead me, O Lord, in thy righteousness because of mine enemies. Make thy way straight before my face. The enemies here are whatever it is that you're trying to banish, whatever the problem is, whatever you've come to banish. Lead me in thy righteousness because of mine enemies. So when it says because of mine enemies, think of it as instead of mine enemies. Since I'm going through this problem that I want to banish, tell me what to do instead. Because what I'm doing isn't working. If all I had to do was worry about this, the problem would have been solved already. So my worrying about it isn't working. My trying to fix it isn't working, or I wouldn't have come to this psalm. So obviously what I'm doing about it isn't working. You show me instead. You do you. And show me how to do me. Make thy way straight before my face, meaning show me step by step what to do. Lead me where you would have me be. And remember from that previous verse, having trust that the infinite's leading you toward your happiness. The infinite's not going to lead you on a path of torture in order to prove your worthiness. The infinite's wanting to lead you on a path of joy, on a path of happiness, or what it's calling here, multitude of mercies. For there is no faithfulness in their mouth. Their inward part is very wickedness. We're just being very clear about whatever this problem is here. If I'm trying to make sense of it myself, I'm just spinning my wheels. I remember working with a psych tech once, and they said the biggest thing that they had to remember when they were dealing with people with severe mental illness is to stop trying to make sense of it. Because when they start trying to make sense of it, they get sucked into it themselves, and they start exhibiting the same symptoms of mental illness. And so what they had to learn how to do was not try to figure out what it was that they were trying to say or do, and just let it be what it is. And it's similar here. For there is no faithfulness in their mouth. Their inward part is very wickedness. Don't try to figure this out. Don't try to make sense of the problem. Just let it go and let the infinite handle it for you. Their throat is an open sepulchre. They flatter with their tongue. Trying to figure this out for yourself is the way of death, the sepulchre, that tomb. Trying to figure out this problem myself and banish it myself obviously hasn't worked, or I wouldn't have come here. And to continue going down that path is going to be disastrous for me. So I'm not doing that anymore because it's calling to me. It's always calling to me. They flatter with their tongue. This problem is always calling me back. Maybe you could figure it out this way. Maybe you should try this. Maybe you should try that. Enough. No, I'm not listening to my problem anymore. I'm only listening to the infinite. It'll tell me what to do. Destroy thou them, O God. Let them fall by their own counsels. Let the problem dissolve itself. Let evil destroy itself. It always collapses in on itself if I don't give it any life force, because the problem doesn't have life force of its own. It's not the will of the infinite. Therefore, the only way it can stay alive is if I keep it alive, if I give it CPR. I'm not doing that anymore. Cast them out in the multitude of their transgressions, for they have rebelled against thee. My problem is a transgression against the infinite itself. And if it's a transgression against the infinite, it's also a transgression against me. If it's a transgression against me, it's a transgression against the infinite, because we are one. The only time that we aren't one is when I believe in my own habit of thinking that I'm separate from the infinite. But in reality, that's not true. The infinite knows that's not true. It's just we have the freedom to think that that's true. The infinite knows we're not separate. The infinite knows that you don't need this problem. The infinite knows that you have not only every right, but every ability to be healed of this problem and for this problem to go away. But let all those that put their trust in thee rejoice. Now, let all those, we're talking about those people, and those people are thoughts. So let all of my thoughts put their trust in the infinite. I'm not going to waste any of my people, any of my thoughts on the problem anymore. I'm not going to do it. I'm not wasting my resources on this road to nowhere, on this road to an open sepulcher, this road to death. I'm not doing it anymore. Let them ever shout for joy because thou defendest them. When it says that the infinite defends you, the infinite knows that this isn't real. The infinite knows that this isn't something that you have to go through. The infinite already knows that you are in effect healed of this. This is already banished. But until you're willing to let it go, it can't do much for you. So this is really an exercise in detaching from this problem altogether and letting it die. And what do you do with your mind? Turn it on to the infinite. That's the best use of the mind, is considering the infinite. Let them ever shout for joy because thou defendest them. Let them also that love thy name be joyful in thee. Giving you so much to do here. If you can think of the names of the infinite instead of the problem, it gives your mind something good to do. It gives your mind something productive to do that will help you. So the names of the infinite are simply the qualities. Infinite life, infinite soul, infinite spirit, infinite intelligence, infinite truth, infinite love, infinite law, infinite presence. These are names of God. So you think about that. You think about how not only am I not separate from the infinite, but there's qualities of the infinite that I'm not separate from. And I can think of them very clearly. I can think of what these things are. Let them also that love thy name be joyful in thee. That's how you are joyful in the infinite, is by thinking about it, using your mind to think about the qualities of the divine. For thou, Lord, wilt bless the righteous. It's kind of redundant to say will bless the righteous. You do bless the righteous here and now. And who's the righteous? You are. You were created righteous. The only thing about you that's not righteous is that which isn't real. And that's the stuff that can fall away if you stop giving it life force. That includes whatever it is that you're trying to banish. You are righteous. Righteous means right thinking, in your right mind. In your right mind, you are already one with the infinite and you know it. So anything that doesn't look like that, we're willing to let those things go and be clear only in your righteousness. Be aware only of the truth, which is your righteousness. And you were created righteous, and you can't uncreate your righteousness. You can't make yourself unrighteous. I don't care what any preacher tells you or has told you. I'm sorry that a preacher might have told you that at one point. It's not God's fault. It's not God's fault that your preacher was a jerk. That's not coming from the infinite. The truth is that you were created perfect, you'll remain perfect, and you can't unperfect yourself. But you can think you're imperfect. And you can use your mind to think thoughts separate from the infinite. And that's what our world has trained us to do. And it's up to us to disentangle our thinking, our habit of thought, from that matrix and simply turn it back to the infinite and know that we are righteous. With favor wilt thou compass him as with a shield. You have nothing to fear. You have nothing to fear. The only thing that has anything to fear is your problem. Your problem's going away. In fact, in the infinite's perspective, your problem never existed in the first place. So all that's really happening is you shifting your consciousness to the truth, and then the truth will reveal itself through the divine law of cause and effect in your physical reality. Your job is to banish it in your mind, meaning turn away from it and think only of the infinite instead. So you just keep coming back to this very powerful psalm once a day until you get a sense of peace, until you get a sense of certainty that this is done. And when you get that, I feel it like a little click. And when I get that sense of peace and certainty, I know that my spell is cast, I forget all about it and I move on to something else. Thank you so much for being with me today. Until next time, blessed be.